Notice of public hearing. Please take notice that a regular meeting of the City of Dunkirk Common Council held on March 19th, 2019, resolution number 26-2019, was presented to the Common Council, which resolution is entitled Intro Number 3 to Local Law Number 3-2019, City of Dunkirk. A local law to amend Chapter 28, Electrical Installations, Section 28-5, S 28-5, 28-6, 28-12, and 28-13 of the Dunkirk City Code, and to add Section 28-11A to the Dunkirk City Code, adding journeyman electrician regulations and apprenticeship. Please take further notice that a public hearing will be held on resolution number 26-2019 on April 2nd, 2019 at 5:20 p.m. in the Common Council chambers to hear any and all interested persons. If anybody wishes to speak pertaining to this particular intro to local law, please step forward to the podium and state your name and address.
Good evening. My name is John Christopher Dean. I live at 10237 Lakeside Boulevard Extension, Dunkirk, New York. I'm also the chairman of the board, the electric board in Fredonia, and I've already talked with many of the members of the electric board, and I'd like to support your decision to do with a Class 1 and Class 2 license. I'd also like to support your decision to use the International Code Council W16 Master Electrician's License. We use it in Fredonia. We just passed that last night. They use it also in Jamestown. What we're trying to do is we're trying to all get on the same page so that we can provide the citizens with the most qualified electricians that they can get. And this will really further it. This will really bring up the bar as it is. So thank you. So, any questions?
That's okay. Thank you, John. Anybody else wishing to speak on this particular intro to local law, please step forward to the microphone and state your name and address.
My name is William Russell. I live at 766 Cider Mill Hill Road, Russell, PA. I'm also the owner of Moonlight Electric of Jamestown, and I just actually had a few questions regarding this. I was just wondering if this does go through, are we going to make the journeymans that already have a license retest, or are we going to recognize their prior testing and just make those guys purchase a license?
Questions will be answered during the individual council person's time on the floor.
Okay, thank you.
Was that your only question?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anybody else wishing to speak, please step forward to the microphone and state your name and address. Anybody else wishing to speak, please step forward to the microphone, state your name and address. Seeing none, public hearing is closed. You need those or not? Call to order the Common Council meeting for April 2nd, 2019 at 5:38 p.m. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams. Here. Councilmember Bamanto.
Here.
Councilmember Heenan.
Here.
Councilmember Civiletto.
Here.
Councilmember at Large Vawasha.
Present. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing. Mayor Rosas has requested a moment of silence for the passing of Mr. Anson. Thank you. Certification of the prior meetings.
This is to certify that an official copy of the minutes of the Common Council meeting of March 19, 2019, and the special Common Council meeting of March 25th, 2019, were presented to the mayor on Friday, March 29th, 2019, and Monday, April 1st, 2019. Pursuant to Section 3.03 of the Dunkirk City Charter, all items presented to the mayor are now in full force and effect, in witness whereof I have hereto set my hand in the seal of the city of Dunkirk this second day of April 2019.
I need a motion dispensing with the reading of the minutes.
So move.
Councilman Williams with the first.
Second.
Councilman Civiletto with the second. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto.
Aye.
Councilmember Heenan.
Aye.
Councilmember Civiletto.
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Voloshin.
Aye. Reading of the privilege of the floor regulations.
The privilege of the floor shall be extended to any person appearing for themselves, in which case that individual shall be limited to 3 minutes, and to any person representing a group who shall be limited to 5 minutes. When recognized, please stand and state your name and address. The city clerk shall have the duty of maintaining such time limits, and the councilman at large may determine in his discretion whether individuals are speaking for themselves or representing groups. Councilman at large Voloshin shall maintain good order and may require any speaker to cease speaking if remarks are made in bad taste or are slanderous or not germane to any action taken or contemplated by council. These time limits specified shall be strictly adhered to, except that a speaker may be allowed to complete a statement or thought started before such time has expired.
Okay, before we move on to privilege of the floor, I'm not sure how many people actually pay attention to the reading of the regulations. Individuals wishing to speak are limited to 3 minutes. Organizations that are wishing to speak are limited to 5 minutes. It is not a question and answer period. You may ask questions, but do not expect an answer back. The council or individuals that you address during your questions will, if they so choose to answer those questions, will answer them during their portion of the meeting where they get to speak. And the same thing with people that are representing the city as far as department heads go. So it is not a question and answer period. As far as it becoming a question and answer period, I would like to remind the City of Dunkirk employees that if you are proposed a question and you choose to jump in without offering me an opportunity to explain to them again that it is not a question and answer period, then that is your choice. So please, I will be more than happy to remind them, but please don't jump in if you don't want to answer the question. Privilege of the floor is now open. If anybody wishes to speak, please step forward to the podium and state your name and address.
Hi, this will be short and sweet. I'm Mary Reese from 433 Dove Street in Dunkirk, representing Revitalize Dunkirk tonight. And I understand you are voting to re-up the Adopt a Garden program that we started last year, and I appreciate that. I expect it'll be rubber stamped. I understand there was a comment that it's less grass to mow. I just wanted to tell you that we enjoyed what we did last year. We're looking forward to expanding on it this year. We want to see what survived the winter. We're anxious to get out there and plant some more flowers. We want to put some trees at Batan Avenue and build one more raised bed at the city limit sign at Tenney and Roberts to match the other 3 that we built last year. So we hope that the continued success, demonstrated success of this project will encourage the city to maybe open it up to other community groups in the future who might be willing to adopt and take care of various city gardens. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
Anybody else wishing to take advantage or privilege of the floor, please step forward and state your name and address.
Good evening. Nancy Nichols, 212 Lincoln Avenue, Dunkirk. As a matter of consideration, the mayor and the council for a name for the dog park, before a decision to be made is established, would it be possible to place the honor to one of Dunkirk's finest, who we lost, and call it the Matt Hazelton Bark Park? As you all know, Matt was our canine officer. Many residents of Dunkirk think this gesture would be a proper thing to do out of respect. A plaque would be created with Matt's badge number on one side and his canine's badge number on the other side, which either in dog prints or in the actual badge. And secondly, the moving sign that's down on the dock, whenever there's a proclamation of thanks or welcoming, could we also just include the city of Dunkirk plus the mayor, or along with the mayor, welcomes you or congratulates you? Just a little added thing. That's it.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you, Nancy.
Anybody else wishing to speak, please step forward to the microphone and state your name and address.
I'm Christine Pinkuski. I live at 7 Lakefront Boulevard. I emailed the mayor and the council some questions and concerns I had on the financing of the building purchase. Only the mayor responded, and he appeared to be responding to the council as well. The mayor stated that the city was going to receive additional funds from the Financial Restructuring Board. That's great news. He did not say how much, so if you could please clarify that. Because a newspaper article indicated that it was $285,000. But that same article also said that $308,000 in tax stabilization aid was going to be used, bringing the total to $590,000. My concern is the use of the tax stabilization aid for the purchase of the building and its renovations. The Financial Restructuring Board stated that the tax stabilization aid was to be used to stabilize finances and the tax levy for 2018, 2019, and 2020 budgets. Due to the loss of the pilot revenue from NRG and to limit further erosion of fund balance, not for a capital purchase. Could you please clarify that? The mayor did not respond to my question as to whether the city has established a multi-year plan to address the loss of the NRG revenue when the temporary assistance from the Financial Restructuring Board and the transitional aid ends. Is there such a plan? In the last 2 weeks, I was in City Hall a total of 2 occasions, trying to get additional information on the resolutions that have been presented to the council and to better understand them. In doing so, a department head approached me, and I felt he was trying to intimidate me. I also mentioned this in my email. However, the mayor responded that the individual acted with much professionalism and that I was spending a lot of time in City Hall and disrupting departments. I was there on 2 occasions. Once before last month's board meeting and once before the special board meeting. No departments mentioned to me that I was disrupting them. For the mayor to say that I did not feel what I felt is wrong. I will continue to seek information to clarify and verify issues that are before this council and the city to better understand them. I can only hope that I would be treated with much professionalism in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. If anybody wants to answer her questions, you may do so while you have the floor or while that particular resolution comes up. Anybody else wishing to speak, please step forward to the microphone, state your name and address.
Frank Beach, 11 Lakefront. We're busy at Lakefront. Just a couple things real quickly. I'm representing the group, the grassroots group that is trying to keep the hospital here. I sent some information to the council members, to the mayor, and to other select people in regards to the most recent opportunity and the proposal that we have made. This initiative started in December with a petition solicitation ended up with thousands of signatures of people saying several hundred, if not over 1,000 from Fredonia to keep the hospital here. Then we worked with council and had rallies and that type of thing that we kind of were trying to inspire a renovation versus a relocation. After time and research, I was privy to be able to consult with the head of the Facilities Design, Real Estate Mergers and Acquisitions Division, who is an architect for Indiana University's Health, Clarion Healthcare, and who held the same job for Cummins Worldwide. And I had an idea, and that proposal was put together, and I've passed that on to several of you, and I believe that it is a viable option and alternative that we're going to pursue. That proposal now has been provided to the governor. He's seen it. The health department, and also to the budget director who writes the check. So they are all aware of this, and we're working to see if we can amend that. That proposal will come out in the next few days. By the weekend. I had the opportunity to sit with Joe for over an hour and discuss this last Friday. So it is an all-encompassing proposal in addition to building a new facility on site. It also is part of a grander plan. The plan of the proposal also takes into account the opportunity to coincide with Dunkirk's comprehensive plan for the revitalization and the development of downtown and the central connection. It's all part of that. And if you can, just allow me, I believe that we need to look at this as though we're building a mall. And when you're building a mall, it's going to be the Central Avenue Mall, if you will. When you enter into this, Andy and those us in this type of world will understand, you always have anchors. So you have two big main anchors and then you fill it in with the rest. Our proposal is looking at it with the waterfront, with the renovation of the pier and all that as the north anchor, and the Brooks Memorial Hospital Complex as the south anchor. Now, one of the things, and here's why I want to speak about this tonight. We all know that the mayor's priority, Mr. Heenan has noted the priority, Nancy, you've noted as a priority for 2019 and beyond is downtown, the revitalization and the rehabilitation of that area. Well, if we're going to do that, that's part of this proposal. Now, we're not going to do it overnight, and it's not going to happen quicker than we, as quick as we would want it. But I do believe that with having those opportunities as anchors, we will have a viable option and a tangible, viable purposing for downtown to support those entities. Gives us something to go on. But I think we're going to have to take it one step at a time. So I wholeheartedly support the purchase of the Stearns building and the rehabilitation of that building. It's a value from a business perspective, which is kind of my end of things. It's a valued opportunity. The pricing, the convenience, the ROI on it, it's progressive and it's growth oriented. Some people have said declining population, we don't need addition, but that has no vision. We've also had people saying we want things to change, but we want things better, but we don't want them to change. Again, not in the best interest of the city as we grow with the Phoenix, with Fieldbrook, with the steel company, with all of this opportunity. We have to look beyond. And most importantly, this is our #1 priority. And if nothing else, we'll get rid of that big red and white sign that says commercial space available. That doesn't look good. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Beach. I personally would like to thank you for your passion and chutzpah over the last few months in trying to save our hospital. So I personally would like to thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak, please step forward to the microphone and state your name and address.
My name is Chantel Gatto. I live at 321 Robin Street, Dunkirk, New York. You can't respond, but I just wanted to see about the Robin Street tunnel again because it's starting to get warm and see how we're going with that. Second of all, I personally agree with the purchase of the building next door, only for the convenience with the elevator and the stairwells and whatnot. Like, as the city's going to expand, as we can tell, as a lot of industries are starting to remodel and put money back into our area, we need a place to grow into. So if we already have one that's conveniently attached to us, it only makes sense. And the thing with the hospital, kind of real adamant, I was born in that hospital, and every time I've gone there dying, I've always made it back out. So I kind of want to keep it there, even though it's not up to me, but I have faith in where it is. I stay here because that hospital I trust is basically why I stay here. Because any other, I don't even go to regular doctors, I trust them. So I'm hoping we can keep it there. I love his idea. I've talked with Frank extensively and it makes sense, especially with the parking garage structure that would actually help everything in the community at the same time. So I'm just gonna keep coming and see how this keeps working. But that's all, and I'll talk to you guys later.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you.
I'm going to throw Councilman Heenan underneath the bus here and remind him that he offered to buy the paint for the Robin Street Tunnel.
Whenever Mr. Woodbury's ready.
Anybody else wishing to speak, please step forward to the podium and state your name and address.
Hello, my name is Kathy Campola, and I live at 19 Lakeview Avenue in Fredonia. I'm very proud to say that I was born and raised in Dunkirk. Although I am a resident of the village of Fredonia, I am a property owner here in the city of Dunkirk. I was born and raised here, lived here, went to school here, and worked for many years. Over the past 3 years, however, I have seen a positive change in the city and its administration, all for the better. I can see it, and I can feel the excitement wherever I go. Over the past 3 years, however, I have seen, from the improvements to the park, Mayor Rosa has secured over $1 million in grant funding just for the parks in the city. Recreation venues such as Point Gratiot, Wright Park, and the waterfront brings tourists, and the tourists bring dollars. The economic development that is taking place in the city of Dunkirk through efforts of Mayor Rosa, his development team has not seen in many years. This mayor has brought over $10 million in grants for various infrastructure projects, waterfront, and economic development. He has provided fire protection to the residents on Howard Street that have been without for over 10 years, and no other mayor has taken it upon themselves to make the residents and voters feel safe in the event of a fire, but Mayor Rosa did. He and his administration in the first year in office, 2016, renegotiated the city's health care costs, saving the city taxpayers, which I am one of them, close to $400,000 over a 3-year period. This savings came at a time when the revenue from NRG was being threatened and indeed reduced. The employees went without a contract for up to 10 years in some cases. In 2 years of office, Mayor Rosa was successfully in negotiating all 4 contracts. Since taking office, Mayor Rosa has worked with developers and industry representatives in such a manner that jobs are staying in Dunkirk and are increasing. Fieldbrook Foods, the cold storage warehouse, Special Metals, and Universal Steel. The water and the wastewater plants have now upgraded to allow for additional revenue streams. The city of Dunkirk is now the sole supplier of water for the North County Water District. I could go on, but the bottom line is Mayor Rosa has done these things: infrastructure improvements, fire safety, parks and waterfront improvements, job growth, and all union employees working with current collective bargaining agreements. And he did this without raising taxes, water, or sewer rates. I always felt Dunkirk was a diamond in the rough, and someday it would be a diamond that shined. That day is here, and it's all thanks to Mayor Rosa. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kathy. Anybody else wishing to speak, please step forward to the podium and state your name and address. Anybody else wishing to speak, please step forward to the podium and state your name and address. Seeing nobody else, privilege of the floor is now closed. Communications from the mayor, including disapproval messages. Mayor?
Mr. Chairman, I do have some announcements to make. I'm going to defer these announcements to our Planning and Development Director. But before I do, I would like to respond to comments made earlier. I just want to assure council and our city residents that I have done my due diligence in securing these funds for the potential acquisition of the Stearns building, which in my opinion is very much needed. I made contact once again with our representatives from the Financial Restructuring Board, And I can tell you that not only are they supportive, but I've been encouraged to put forth a further proposal for more funding in case we need that funding to remodel the Stearns building. And with reference to her comments about her visit to City Hall, I just want to let the public know that every citizen and visitors are more than welcome to come into City Hall. You know, I looked into her allegations, and I can tell you, if you know my background, I was a police officer. I've investigated many complaints. I think that I was more than thorough in this complaint. I included each council member so that you would know that we have done our due diligence in investigating this, as I knew that she would probably come back in. And again, in my opinion, I want to encourage people to come in and seek information, but I have informed her through the email that, in my opinion, my suggestion would be that if and when possible, she try to retrieve the information she is looking for from our department heads, as opposed to going to our frontline staff who have tasks and assignments they have to complete, some of them with deadlines. So any disruption in City Hall with our frontline staff, I hold my department heads accountable, and that is something I will not tolerate. The city residents voted me in as Chief Executive Officer. I take my position very seriously, and I am not going to tolerate any type of disruption in city operations. At this time, I'll defer to our Department of Development Director.
Today, the mayor held a pre-construction meeting for our pier improvement project. The construction on the pier will begin this coming Monday, April 8th, and will be closed to pedestrians until August 10th of 2019. An announcement on the closure of the pier will be supplied to the city's website, to our access channel, the Observer, and WDOE, as well as included with signage at the boardwalk and in front of the pier. Our contractor, Nova, will be placing fencing and cones up in the construction area, and the boat launch and marina activities will still remain open for the entire construction period. If there's a need to dock along the pier, we would ask that you please contact Holiday Harbor to make arrangements within their docks. The mayor will be holding a groundbreaking ceremony on Thursday, April 11th at 12:30 p.m. and we would like to invite the entire community to this event. In addition, 2019 CDBG applications are available. Those are our community development block grant funds that we receive each year. Applications will be available within our clerk's office and the development department, as well as the city's website. We'll be holding our CDBG application workshop from 1 to 3 tomorrow in our development conference room. So if you're an interested individual, nonprofit, or group, please come stop by and we can help you walk through the application process. At this workshop, we'll be able to answer any questions regarding the CDBG application. The mayor would like to encourage all community nonprofits and organizations to submit applications. And we want to remind these organizations and nonprofits that not less than 70% of CDBG funds must be used for activities that benefit our low to moderate income persons. So when you're thinking about different projects to apply for the funding, please keep that in mind. And all applications will be due May 3rd. And I just wanted to respond in regards to the dog park. The chief and I have discussed that, and we reached out to the family, and that will be included in the naming of the dog park. So thank you for that recommendation.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Communication number 1.
Appointment of Michael Perpilia and Carl Waklowski to the Greater Dunkirk Area Harbor Commission, and reappointment of Eugene Polsek, Mike Rosing, Ron Vklotz, and Julio De Leon.
This will be received and filed, but just for clarification purposes, this is communication number 1 underneath the mayor's line. as compared to communication number 1 underneath the public and petitions line, which is next.
Request from Katie Constantino on behalf of Catholic Charities WIC to use Washington Park to host their 4th annual Healthy Baby Festival on Thursday, August 1st, 2019, from 11 a.m. till 1 p.m.
Any discussion, council? Excuse me. I need a motion to refer this to the appropriate departments as well as approve, subject to appropriate insurances and usual conditions. Councilman Bamanto with the first.
I'll second.
Councilman Williams with the second. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto.
Aye.
Councilmember Heenan.
Aye.
Councilmember Civiletto.
Aye.
Councilmember Elijah Washer.
Aye. Communication number 2 has been pulled for this evening due to a conflict in dates.
Number 3, request from Cheyenne Breuer on behalf of Literacy Volunteers of Chautauqua County to close Washington Avenue between East 2nd Street and East 3rd Streets on April 29, 2019, from 4 p.m. until 9 p.m. to hold their new Made You Book event, which will include local music groups, various food trucks, family activities, and more.
I am going to seek a motion to refer this to the appropriate departments as well as approve, subject to appropriate insurances and usual conditions. However, this motion will need to be contingent upon the individual and/or group reaching out to the Fredonia State Incubator because this area that they chose to have this will be blocking their entrances and exits to their parking lot on Washington. So we're asking them to reach out and make sure that is taken care of. And we're going to have the city clerk keep in touch with that as well to make sure that all goes well. Need a motion?
We were also going to add make sure that they got a loudspeaker permit.
Oh, correct. Yeah, and it's also contingent about a loudspeaker permit as well because they want to include local music groups. So adding those 2 contingencies to the motion. Have a first. Councilman Williams, Councilman Bamanto with the second. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto.
Aye.
Councilmember Heenan.
Aye.
Councilmember Civiletto.
Aye.
Councilmember Elijah Washer.
Aye.
Number 4, request from the Northern Chautauqua Catholic Schools to use Promenschenkel Stadium during April and May for practices and games for their girls JV softball team.
I will need a motion to refer this to the appropriate departments as well as approve, subject to appropriate insurances and usual conditions. However, this motion would need to be contingent upon Northern Chautauqua Catholic School reaching out to the Dunkirk Little League because Dunkirk Little League girls, I believe you said, Marty?
It's boys.
Boys, I'm sorry. 50-50 shot and I missed it.
Brian Hall's doing the scheduling, so
Okay.
probably reach him would be the best thing to do.
For Northern Chautauqua Catholic School to reach out to Ryan Hall, our recreation director, and the Little League to make sure that there's not a conflict of interest in dates. Councilman Bamanto with the first.
Second.
Councilman Williams with the second. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto.
Aye.
Councilmember Heenan.
Aye.
Councilmember Civiletto.
Aye.
Councilmember Elijah Washer.
Aye.
Number 5, request from Jose A. Rodriguez to use Promenschenkel Stadium and Cooks Field for a memorial softball tournament in memory of Manny Escobar and John Christopher on Saturday, June 8, 2019, from 8 a.m. till 9 p.m. Tables and trash cans requested.
I need a motion to refer this to the appropriate departments as well as approve, subject to appropriate insurances and usual conditions. However, their request asking for tables and trash cans cannot be granted at this particular moment. So we would like to inform them, Jose Rodriguez, to please reach out to our, thank you, I'm at a loss for words, our Parks Director and DPW Director to coordinate possible tables and trash cans that we may have available because there are other events that weekend and at that time that have requested those already. So we cannot specifically agree to give you the tables and trash cans until that is worked out between them. Motion first by Councilman Bamanto.
Second.
Second by Councilman Williams. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto.
Aye.
Councilmember Heenan.
Aye.
Councilmember Civiletto.
Aye.
Councilmember Elijah Washer.
Aye. Loudspeaker application A has been pulled this evening for the same reasons communication number 2 has been pulled this evening. Loudspeaker application B.
B, Dimitri's on the lake to use amps and speakers for bands outside on the deck during the summer season.
Any discussion? I need a motion to refer this to the appropriate departments as well as approve, subject to appropriate insurances and usual conditions.
So move.
Councilman Williams with the first. Councilman Civiletto with the second. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto.
Aye.
Councilmember Heenan. Aye. Councilmember Civiletto.
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Voisin.
Aye. Reports of standing committees, boards, and commissions. Councilman Williams, the floor is yours.
All right, I'd like to thank Mr. Dean and Mr. Russell for coming and speaking at the public hearing today. To answer Mr. Russell's question, I do believe that we were planning on having the current ones already grandfathered in. And then just to let you know that at the first meeting, we were told by the electric board that they did not recommend it the way it was written. So we're planning on letting it stay on the table and letting it die on the table now, but still work with the Dunkirk Electric Board and try to come up with some language that they can support and then move that forward. Okay, thank you. I guess, Randy, the temperature hasn't been good enough to get out there yet, I'm assuming, but still keep that up there. Then just to put it out there, I do believe Chief is this Sunday when weekly alternate parking takes place?
We'll change from daily to weekly this Sunday. We'll issue some warning tags for the week, and then we'll start writing tickets.
Okay, thank you. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Councilman Williams. Councilman Bamanto.
I'd like to thank everyone that came up and spoke tonight. Really appreciate it. You know, I have some different stuff, but glad you came up. I'd like to take this opportunity, in case I don't have a chance later, I'd like to thank the mayor and his staff that helped out in getting the Stearns building and all the work you did. It's been months and months and months, and I really appreciate it. I'll be voting for it, yes, if we come to a vote. And thank you very much. Andrew, that's all I have.
Thank you, Councilman Bamanto. Councilman Heenan.
Nothing tonight, sir.
Councilman Civiletto.
Yes, I'd like to speak to some of the privilege on the floor guests. Thank you all for speaking. First, Mary Reese and the Beautification Committee of Revitalize Dunkirk. Happy to support the Adopt a Garden. In fact, last year I actually bought one of those, the one on Route 60 near Hose 4. So they were so good with how they purchased everything that they had money left over, that the one on Tenney and Roberts is going to be used with the extra money that they saved from the money that I donated. So I'm happy to say that both of the ones that are in the 4th Ward, I used basically my paycheck from the city for that. So I gave it back to the city. Mrs. Nichols with the dog park, thank you for that suggestion. I've been on the subcommittee for the dog park for over a year now, and that suggestion came up about a year ago, and we talked about it and we loved that idea. And in fact, we talked about naming the large dog park after Officer Hazelton, and then the small one, because for the small dogs we named it Nico Park because that was the name of his dog. So we've already, like Rebecca said, we've already had discussions with Officer Hazelton's widow and his family and Chief Ortolano, so that's definitely something that's gonna happen. In reference to Ms. Pinkowski seeking information at the in City Hall, I was before a councilman, a community activist, and liked to know information as well. The way that I approached it was I never went past the city clerk's office. The city clerk's office is where I stopped. I never thought that I had that ability to do that. So if I wanted information, I would request a FOIL, which is a Freedom of Information Act, a letter request, and I waited for the answer from the department head. That way there was no me walking into the city hall, and like the mayor said, it really, for me as a citizen to just walk into City Hall and take a department head's time or anyone else's time, I presented a FOIL request and they could answer my request when they had the time to do it because I realized that they were very busy. And that made sure that there were no confrontations. And I do want to reiterate that Thursday, is it Thursday, April 13th, the ribbon cutting for the pier? That is something that we've been working on for years, and the 11th, I'm sorry, Thursday 11th. So it's a very exciting thing, and I encourage all the councilmen and department heads, if they can, if they have time, or citizens to come out and support this fantastic project that's moving forward. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Civiletto. Unfinished business? Councilman Williams?
I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss legal and, what was the other?
Real estate.
Real estate issues. Thank you.
There's a motion for executive session for legal and real estate issues. Does he have a second? Councilman Bamanto with the second. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto?
Aye.
Councilmember Heenan? Aye. Councilmember Civiletto?
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Voisin?
Aye. I ask that Councilman, excuse me, Councilman Williams, please keep track of the times that we are in and out of executive session and the motions to go in and out of executive session.